Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and once again, I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Ape Escape for the PlayStation 1 / PlayStation 4 / PlayStation 5, all because of the phone's digital-only versions of those two versions in mind for both PS4 and PS5 respectively. So yeah, last time we've essentially did manage to able to keep on capturing some more monkeys, and in addition to that we also did manage to able to keep on collecting more of those Specter Coins, just to ensure that we will be able to get our percentage count go up, just to ensure that we've almost there to able to actually completely done with everything in the game, aside from a couple of exceptions. So today, for this video, is the fact that we're going to be hitting on to the forms of, well, let's just say, towards the end game at this point, especially about the fact the matter is though, we've only just got about 4 more levels to go until we basically able to actually capture the rest of the monkeys throughout the entire game. In addition to able to keep on collecting some more few bits of remaining Specter Coins around here, but either way though, that might be saying something during at this point in time. So now, as far as what I do somehow realize is the fact that once we hit back into the forms of Specter Land, although, to be told though, is the fact that we have managed able to got quite a few monkeys on that particular world, although I'll explain more details about that once we get back into Specter Land. So yeah, basically, today's date is of course the 7th of February today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though, is the fact the matter is though, we've almost to the point that we've almost at the halfway point in terms of February itself for the forms of, 2023. Well, mind you about the fact that we just only managed to get started with February this year for the sake of the forms of this entire month of 2023. So I've no idea why I said things completely opposite at this point, because mind you, it's been about 5 days ago since we actually last touched this, I'm pretty sure. Because with that being said though, it's the fact that you know how the fact that recently for both Mighty and Ray, they are both finally managed able to finish up with their Let's Play of Mario Slam Basketball. So hopefully we're able to actually expect what's going to be up next in terms of the forms of the weekend projects, I'm pretty sure. Well, mind you, about the fact the matter is though, I'm presuming Maxi is still carrying things on, or to be more specifically, he's still continuing things on the forms of Donkey Kong 64. Clearly because about the fact that that game is going to be really long. Well, mind you, about the fact the matter is though, it's just about the fact that he's almost done with the forms of Fungi Forest, for I've heard. But hopefully by that time, possibly until by the end of this month, or the beginning of March, that hopefully he will be able to actually just to continue things on in Donkey Kong 64. But either way though, I'm sure enough though, that Maxi is having a fun time right now. So despite there are some couple of frustrating moments here and there, for its repetitive mini games and stuff like that, I mean, let's face it though, he might actually still need to get used to it. So anywho, so a few things I want to explain while this is happening is that, well, apparently though, that for those of you other Pokemon fans out there, to be more specifically, if for those of you are the biggest fan of Detective Pikachu movie, well, the truth is about this is though, is the fact that potentially speaking, the sequel will definitely going to be happening for Detective Pikachu as the film itself. Well, it did say about the fact that it's still in the works, but thankfully it doesn't get cancelled. So it just might take some time to able to actually get the film going, because unlike something related to Sonic the Hedgehog film series, they managed able to go for like so far 2 years apart. So relatively speaking though, it's always came up in during the forms of the even numbered years. So I mean, could it be possible about the fact that if Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is going to be on the horizon until 2026? Well, I highly doubt, but either way though, we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time, especially because we're still in 2023, and after all, we've got the Mario movie coming up, so yeah, expect it to be hyped. So speaking of hyped though, is the fact that recently and the other day, on the forms of the 3rd of February and all that basically, we finally managed able to get a chance to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I'm gonna say, this is by far is one of my absolute favorite DreamWorks movie right now, actually. Well, we'll still say that Shrek 2 did suddenly manage able to trump it in my opinion, although sure enough though, is the fact that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a massive improvement over the forms of how it does it in certain DreamWorks movies in the past. Or, in addition to that, I think it's suffice to say, well, I found the first film good, but it's just about the fact the matter is, though, it does have some very odd design choices, mainly the forms of, you know, Humpty Alexander Dumpty, that his face looks a bit off. Like, I know for a fact it's like pasted into the forms of the actual face or something. Well, truth be told, thankfully though, The Last Wish certainly managed able to get high expectations. Especially that what I've heard about the reviews of the film is actually really a masterpiece. Especially considering about the fact that, like what both Mighty and Ray have already mentioned about this before, ever since in the final video of Mario Slime Basketball, is that DreamWorks is actually doing very well, apparently, during the forms of last year in 2022. Because compared to something related to Disney or Pixar, that unfortunately the box office didn't seem able to get high expectations after all, so... But either way, hopefully by that time I'm also able to be looking forward until the DVD release of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because, well, again, I'm probably not going to mention any spoilers for the actual film, just because it's the more of a recent DreamWorks movie, so because of this though, I'm not going to mention any spoilers for the time being, until, God knows, until 2025, or anything else like that, years to come. So, but certainly I would able to actually say I highly recommend it, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which I'm sure most people already seen that already, which that might be seems a little bit more true for circumstances though. But either way though, I'm really looking forward to able to rewatching that film again, until when it comes out on DVD and all that stuff, which, potentially speaking, I'm also definitely gonna get it until day one. Once it all comes out though, well, I think suffice to say, depending on what region you lived in, I'm presuming that the Americans will get it first, just like the forms of how it does it on the big screen on the cinemas. And then as far as the UK version is concerned, I'm pretty sure it's going to be until June or July, depending on the forms of, well, certain stipulations as far as I'm aware, so... But again, we shall see what happens in due time, especially because, well, potentially speaking, I'm just so happy that I finally managed able to get a chance to watch, you know, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish on the big screen. So, yeah, and I've almost got to drown right there, because for some odd reason is that whenever I first got there, oh wow, that monkey just somehow managed able to get up. Okay, that's quite convenient. So, anywho, because whenever I managed able to first experience this level on my own time for a bit, for the love of God, I can never seem able to actually get out of there as fast as humanly possible. But, for I've played on the PSP remake on the other hand though, that for some reason I somehow managed able to get out of this underwater segment no problem. I'm guessing it's probably because the actual momentum or anything else like that feels a bit a lot more different than the forms of how it does in the original version as far as I'm concerned. But either way, we basically completed everything in terms of Urban City, so nicely done. So I believe we've only got about exactly 3 levels left, until we basically gonna have to able to realize that we've almost nearly at the forms of 204 monkeys required for its, you know, the final frontier or the final battle against with the forms of Specter himself. So relatively speaking though, we're getting very close for this point, guys. Well, at least I'm assuming so anyway, so... Anyway, so I think the next level we're going to be hitting on to next is Specter's Factory, or Specter Factory, I think is what it says anyway, despite the fact that it's been about a couple of days ago. Yeah, Specter's Factory. Yeah, I said this for the first time, I guess, but either way though, that might be saying something. So, only 3 monkeys needs to be captured, and only 1 Specter Coin left. So, I can assure you, I know exactly where they are, but it's just about the fact the matter is though, it's been about a couple of days ago since we've actually last experienced this level, so... Oh, and speaking of such though, you remember the forms of how the fact that normally, with those boxes right there. Normally we're supposed to be able to use the tank after all. Well, we technically already did, but now with the magic punch, this means we can now able to actually break those boxes a lot easier. So relatively speaking, I very appreciate able to actually equip this particular gadget, because let me tell you, this gadget still looks so awesome. So, but either way though, that might be saying something. So anyway, so the next thing I want to mention though, while this is going on, is potentially speaking though, that I've heard that the Nintendo eShop, specifically the Switch eShop application, is that, well, apparently though, they're actually getting themselves a much more bigger improvement when it comes to searching stuff. Because you remember the forms of back in the forms of in the past few years, basically though is the fact that we actually have to go and keep on scrolling down, because apparently we get ourselves the forms of one column of the actual search rows or anything else like that, which I know it feels a bit iffy at times, but at the very least recently now, we finally managed able to actually got added in some more titles during the forms of the actual search bar. So yeah, that's actually a massive improvement over the forms of how it does it back in a couple of days ago, which I highly appreciate about that stuff though. And speaking of such though, is the fact that, well, potentially speaking though, is the fact that Monster Hunter Rise, so far anyway though, is the fact that they now managed able to realize that game has been sold for about 12 million copies worldwide. So pretty successful, I might add, especially considering about the fact that, well, obviously you can play the game on the go, and thus is one of the most uniquest Monster Hunter games out there, especially considering about the fact that it has a lot of collaborations between, you know, I won't classify the same for Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff like that, in this case myself anyway, but either way though, that might be saying something. So, and exponentially, tomorrow for Mario Kart Tour players out there is, of course, the next tour is going to be up. Specifically, the Exhibition Tour. So, speaking of the forms of that particular tour is going to be on the horizon until tomorrow. What I've noticed is the fact that the actual races they got, in terms of the forms of the actual tour itself, basically we're going to be getting not only two variations of, let's just say, another cosmetic character based off from Shy Guy, because the last time we actually had the cosmetic Shy Guy was actually the ninja, based off from the forms of Ninja Hideaway. So, either way, so I'm really looking forward to able to trying out Piranha Plant Cove, for I've heard, despite the fact that we have to go back into the forms of some bad controls again. And in addition to that though, is the fact that potentially speaking, there's going to be another Mii racing suit outfit that's usually in a different color. Like for instance, I think the color choice this time is going to be brown. So, not exactly sure how we're going to get brown though, but relatively speaking, at least the actual special item is actually going to get, well, a little bit more better than the forms of how it does it in the forms of the previous current tour at the moment. Like, potentially speaking, the best way I can describe about the forms of how the fact that, well, even though it's hard to describe, because I know for a fact it's been about quite a few days ago since, you know, since I've last recorded footage of this particular game so far. But potentially speaking though, is the fact that the actual special item we can probably get for the brown Mii racing suit, and that's what appears to be by the forms of the cannon shot, or to be more specifically a bob-arm cannon item. But either way though, that was actually something, I guess. So, anywho, so the next thing I want to mention is the fact that potentially speaking, is the fact that no matter what though, is that there is actually a game called, actually I'll get into more in a second, because not only do we able to actually realize that before I went to see Puss in Boots The Last Wish, there's technically a video game based movie is going to be on its way, potentially speaking until by that time, until by the end of March or something. And that's what appears to be by the forms of Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves is going to be on its way. And what I've noticed for one thing in mind, that one of those actors might look a bit familiar to you. Well, if you're paying close attention to the actual poster itself, specifically slightly to the left, that you noticed that you might be familiar with that particular voice actor who also did Tim from the likes of Detective Pikachu movie. Yes, Justice Smith is going to be a part of the films of the actual film role in the films of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. So, yeah, pretty cool, huh? Well, mind you, I haven't exactly known about the forms of Dungeons & Dragons by myself, clearly because about the fact that I haven't really heard about the series before, but potentially speaking though, it's nice to see Justice Smith is going to be on screen again after the events of Detective Pikachu, but either way though, that's sure it's something, I suppose. Alright, so I believe we've almost done here. It's just about the fact that, okay, there's another monkey just up here. And I think this might actually be the last monkey we can able to capture. Well, at least it's what I thought it was. So, but before I get into that though, I need to find the last Specter Coin on this level. And I think something tells me we need to able to activate this. So just to ensure that we're able to make our way all the way up. So, yeah, that's a thing. And not only do we get ourselves one anniversary when it comes to the films so far anyway, but two more film anniversaries up to this point. To be more specifically, both are related to Disney movies, which are Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, and in addition to Peter Pan. Now, what I've noticed is that Peter Pan, to be more specifically released in 1953, that film has been out for 70 years now, 7 decades old. Gee, time flies, you know. But for what I've rewatched that film, both on DVD or Disney Plus, depending on the actual physical type, that basically I actually really had a good time with the film. And yeah, that's a cool reason to able to actually celebrate the film in the process. And this also applies for Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, and that film is now 30 years old, since 1993, so gee, time flies, you know? Especially, I do sort of remember the film, as in the actual one of those VHS trailers, after, like, whenever I'm most able to use to watching Aladdin on the VHS, and then when that film ended, basically it gets like a very quick glimpse of certain VHS trailers for certain movies to come. So potentially speaking though, I found it a little bit quite intriguing to able to actually just, well, despite the fact that it's been donkey's years since I actually last seen a film, but either way though, that might be saying something I suppose, but either way though, that's as far as I can say about it. Alright, so the next level we're going to be hit back into is none other than TV Tower. So, I think I get the strong sense of feeling we've almost done with this. So it's just one Specter Coin, once again 3 monkeys to go, and potentially speaking that we actually getting very close to 204 monkeys requirement for able to actually stop Spectre once and for all. So, yeah, we're getting close there, guys. We are definitely getting very close. So yeah, remember that special container, as we've already discovered that, ever since in Crumbling Castle. Well, that's essentially how the magic punch usually comes into play, with that particular device in mind. So, I think something tells me is the fact that with that particular monkeys I was missing, well, potentially speaking though, I somehow accidentally ignored one of them, which we do need to able to activate something in order to able to actually sunk up the actual water itself or drain the water down. And you remember the forms of that very annoying section with that ginormous fan blades that I've already have a bit of a struggle with on my first playthrough on this particular stage. That apparently though I managed to also miss that out. So hopefully, but for this time around though, hopefully we're able to actually succeed. So hopefully that will make it happen. So, but I digress. And the short things worth noting for is the fact that unfortunately both of those things do somehow manage to able to realize that actually I'll get to more in a moment, because either way I'll save that conversation until for later. Until whenever we go into the forms of Spectre Land for, let's just say, multiple times, because, well, again, I'll mention more about it until whenever I get to that point. So, anyway, so no need for the actual boat, because otherwise we'll use the propeller to make things a little bit more fun to use. And in addition to that, hopefully we'll get ourselves another extra life if we manage able to go for Last Desire. So there's that particular missing Specter Coin I was missing on. Because for whatever reason, because I think whenever I first got there, I accidentally stumbled across a dev with that particular weird sea enemies. So yeah. Hopefully though, thankfully though, we somehow managed able to make it through. So we'll use the slingshot at that monkey over there to stun him. And there we go. That basically does it from here. So only one monkey left, and that's what appears to be on these ginormous fan blades. So hopefully I'm also able to succeed this time around though, because I know for a fact that, well, I do definitely know it's there. But it just may take a bit while to able to actually just to get up there somehow. So hopefully I'll just be the fastest thing alive, and hopefully I would be able to actually succeed for this point. If not, then I just have no words. So anywho though, and also about the fact of the matter is though, yes, CapKing74, he still continued things on with his Let's Play of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, which I'm sure that Maxi has already mentioned about this during the course of in Donkey Kong 64 Let's Play. So relatively speaking though, it's nice to see, you know, CapKing74 is doing the third Paper Mario Let's Play. Well, to be more specifically though, despite he does things in a weird chronological order, because almost first of all he was expecting to do the original game first, and then the second game, and then the super game, but turns out because of the phones of how in fact with all these different times or anything else like that, so oh well, no big deal. But hey, at least you're able to actually enjoy that particular Let's Play so far, and yeah, everything else goes all fine and dandy and everything when it comes to likely for other topics worth noting for, especially about the fact that, well, I would have liked able to mention something a bit more, but then I do found out, potentially speaking, about the fact the matter is though, is that unfortunately though, that when it comes to likely for anything else to be more specific, that's actually no matter what though, there's not much else I can probably be thinking about. Well, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking, it's been about quite a few, I don't know, I think I've actually lost track of myself at this point, because I know for a fact that I would like to able to mention something, but again, I'll save that conversation once we get to the actual, the post-commentary segment of this level, because the reason why I say post-commentary segment of this particular recording session in mind, well, you'll see why as soon as we're able to go back into Specter Land. So, that gosh darn robot just somehow managed to aggravate the heck out of me. But either way, we'll just activate that particular switch. So, hopefully we're able to actually succeed by this point this time around though. Well, at least I highly doubt we will try to able to succeed, because unlike the first time around we've got there, I died so many times, clearly because of the forms of that very, very, very annoying, ginormous fan blade that just somehow blows me back. When I was trying to able to hesitate, able to actually make things a bit quicker for me, but then I do realize that the fan blades still managed to blow me back. So, okay, so you're supposed to destroy this, and at the same time you need to activate that switch over there, and what you're supposed to meant to do is that you need to head back, and then potentially speaking, once you're able to don't fall off, and then you have to head back into the exactly the same elevator sequence as you've already hopped into familiar with Go, and then every once in a while you're gonna be able to stand completely still until you reach to the very bottom, and basically though, that's essentially how you're able to actually get the last monkey in the entire stage. So gee, I did not notice that until now anyway, because for whatever reason, I just keep on getting a bit too hasty when it comes to likely just getting that last monkey in the fastest method if possible, because you know how the fact I hate slow parts. But either way, let's just go and get this last monkey from here, and there we go, TV Tower is finally concluded. So I suppose the only level we've got left is, of course, Specter Land, and then once we're done with that, well, I can assure you we can able to actually finally meet up with Spectre for the final time for the game. So, at least if I'm assuming so anyway, so Anyway, so let's just go ahead and quickly save our game quickly. And in fact, that my lives has now jumped into 21, which I think is actually quite a pleasant thing to notice. Especially because, obviously, I need so many lives. Especially because if I was going to go into the harder sections in Specter Land, basically, that generally speaking, though, I need able to go ahead and, well, I've got no words to say, so... Anywho, though, so let's just go ahead and, head back to Specter Land as we go. So, yeah, everything else goes all pretty swell, if I have to say so. Although I'll talk more details about the minigames themselves until on this Thursday coming up. So, either way, let's see what monkeys have we got left in here. Oh, just only 3? Oh, wait a second, because we're getting close to 204 monkeys required, condition-wise. So, yeah, something tells me that we'll go ahead and use the dash hoop to make things a bit faster and quick. In fact, I'll just double-check on certain areas first, just to ensure that we're able to see what's going to be on other segments worth noting for. And wait, I almost thought I captured you. Oh no, I realized. I forgot to realize that I've actually lost the ability to able to capture those remaining monkeys on this particular section, because what if I ended off the recording session just before I hit into the actual Specter's castle itself? Basically though, it doesn't save my progress when I do manage to capture several monkeys in this Western Land section. Oh, I did not notice that first. Oh, jeez. I think that's probably my fault, because what if I end off the recording session, I accidentally selected quit the level, then basically though, that's essentially how I've lost my progress when it comes to likely capturing those monkeys. Well, thankfully though, Specter Coins, you can able to actually keep it forever, and manage to able to exit out the level as it goes by, but nothing compares to the forms of this though, for capturing the rest of the monkeys, but... oh, I honestly forgot about that feature. God, I'm a dumb hedgehog. Anyway, I think we've got enough monkeys, so potentially speaking, I think something tells me, I think the professor is trying to tell us that we can now able to go ahead and stop Specter.
Spike, I found out where Spector is. I have programmed the entrance to it, so you should be able to select it from the stage selection. Please go right away.
So yes, now we can able to actually hit into the true final level in the game. But before I get into that though, since about the fact that I'm most likely gonna have to able to save that for later, just because there are certain monkeys I forgot to capture. So in some cases though, yeah, let's just go ahead and have a look on here. And basically we're able to save our game just for a brief moment's worth noting for. Now, before we get to the forms of the actual repeated playthroughs of Specter Land, that there are quite a few Specter Coins we've only just got left. So, potentially speaking though, as you can see, we've actually stumbled across a monkey book right there. And it looks like I'm missing for about, oh jeez Louise, 9 monkeys remaining. Gee, no wonder why that my boxes are usually blank at first. Despite the fact that I've already previously captured them during the course of any, oh jeez, I probably shouldn't turn the game off, aren't I? Well, lesson learned. Do not, turn off the game, assuming if you need to, like... it's hard to explain, really. Anyway, so let's just hit back in here, and, hopefully we're able to get the rest of the collectibles in this particular level, shall we? So... okay, if you couldn't tell already, for those of you who probably the reason why, that I'm actually going to be able to decide to do a post-commentary segment, it's most likely because, well, relatively speaking, this entire process, when it comes to capturing the last 9 monkeys in this particular level, just feels a bit weird, and also not to mention though, there is that annoying feature that if you're following through our Let's Play of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, or, Super Mario 64 DS, or Super Mario 64 for that matter. Basically though, once you're able to get enough monkeys in order to actually access to the true final level in the game, well, I can assure you we'll save that for later. that basically though, once you go back to the previous level, to be more specifically this stage, once you capture one of those monkeys, well, unfortunately though, there is that annoying system where, if you're familiar with this particular stuff since Super Mario 64 and stuff like that, basically once you capture one of those monkeys in any of the points throughout the level, basically rather than giving you an option to able to continue things on through the level and capture even more monkeys, so instead the game expects you to able to go back into the lab several times, which meaning about the fact that, well, once you capture any monkey, basically Spike goes like, well done, and stuff like that, and basically though, there's no way you can able to actually find any of those continuing spawn points, so basically though, it functions kind of like the same way as Super Mario 64 in mind. So yeah, I've honestly have no idea why I managed to able to come across into that specific feature, but either way though, that might be saying something, so. But either way, something's worth mentioning for is the fact that, yeah, as to be expected that it is the 7th of February today, this also means we might as well say goodbye to some of these games on the Xbox 360 store. Whilst I think, potentially speaking, you can still technically able to actually get them on Xbox One or Series X for that matter. That basically though is about the fact the matter is though, there are quite a lot of titles that will be delisted on the Xbox 360 system. Well, to be more specifically on the actual store itself. Whilst luckily there aren't any Sonic games that will be delisted, so that'll be a good sign. Except for this one particular game that is going to be delisted, and that is of course Jet Set Radio, which, yeah, I feel incredibly bad for the game, especially that particular 2012 port of Jet Set Radio has been out for about, I would say, 11 years or something. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly looked upon that much gameplay footage of, well, you know what I mean, Jet Set Radio. And this also applies to the forms of, well, we might as well say goodbye to Castle Crushers for the Xbox 360 store on the actual original hardware on the Xbox 360. Well, again, you still can technically get those titles on the Xbox One systems or Xbox Series X for that matter. Well, mind you, about the fact that matter is though, it's been about quite a few days since I actually known about the forms of that particular stuff, so. And straight to the point for this point is the fact the matter is though, every time whenever you keep on revisiting the exactly the same levels as you've already been into, well, basically the actual progressioning does not save apparently, so I've honestly got no words to able to think about it, especially because I just felt incredibly so stubborn whenever I do found out that, yeah, we have to able to see that particular imagery screen a lot, especially about the fact that, again, if you capture any of one of those monkeys at any point, basically though, there's no option for you to continue, so relatively speaking now, I've got no idea why I've actually stumbled across into that feature, so. But hopefully by that time, before we get into the forms of our Let's Plays of Ape Escape 2 or Ape Escape 3, I'm hoping that we're not going to come across into that issue, I'm hoping, because otherwise, it'll just get a bit tedious, especially noticeable because the amount of edits I have to do, it just feels a bit, well, tagged on at points, especially because, well, at this point in time, I just really want to get this game finished. Before we move on to the next entry of the forms of the Ape Escape series. Well, mind you, between the forms of both Ape Escape and the Splatoon games, I actually do manage to enjoy them. Although, unfortunately though, as you can tell, I was expecting that I was trying to able to get not one, but two monkeys in the exactly the same net swipe, but the thing is though, the game expects me to only capture one of them, so yeah, it's a bit of impossible to able to do this feature, which, again, I've got no words to think about it, so. Anywho, though, so, yeah, I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this, potentially speaking, is about the fact the matter is, though, we've only got about 2 more days to go until one of those My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes called Games Ponies Play. That's basically, though, that particular episode is going to be 10 years old until this coming Thursday, so, which I can assure you I will mention more about it until whenever we get to the possibility of the final video of Ape Escape, basically. So, But then again, though, we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time, especially because, well, relatively speaking, I just want to get this game finished because, well, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun playing this game, especially because, well, this is all new to me and everything. So relatively speaking, I'm actually very impressed with how this game offers us me too. So even then, I'll explain more details about my final thoughts of the actual game once we're able to actually, like, finish up the final boss, or should I say, the true final boss in the game. So relatively speaking, though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for, so... anywho, yeah, I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this as well, I guess, is the fact the matter is, though, whenever I, before I started watching Puss in Boots: The Last Wish on the big screen, that not only do I able to actually come across into, as usual, the Super Mario Bros. Movie trailer, but also I've stumbled across the actual Happy Meal promotional commercial, which I know for a fact that by that time until tomorrow, though, for those if we lived in the UK, that the Happy Meal McDonald's, the Super Mario Bros. Movie commercial will no longer show up because it's all like limited time offer, which still is a bit of a bummer though. But relatively speaking of what I've noticed on the UK version, for whatever reason, they just somehow no longer brings us into plastic toys for some reason, because all we get nowadays is just random cardboard cutouts of certain segments of the film, which I've honestly have no idea why they're going for that decision in the UK version. Whilst compared to the North American version, they at least managed able to get something out of it. But either way though, that's as far as I can usually try to describe about the films with certain aspects in mind, so... And also, as you probably already noticed, it's about the fact that Super Smash Bros. Brawl has recently turned 15 years old just recently, ever since by the end of January. And for what I've looked back on the game right now, after playing countless amount of hours on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, well, it does age rather well, despite there are some very annoying moments throughout the game, like for instance with all the amount of tripping that you're constantly able to actually stumble across into. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the time playing, Super Smash Bros. Brawl and stuff like that. But I will admit though right away, it's hard to get back into the game after so usually get used to with the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate a lot. Well, the thing is though, because the forms of the tripping system, that might turn people off. But either way though, that might be some consumption. And there you go folks, that's the final Specter Coin that we've actually got. But of course, we're still not done with the monkeys yet though, because, well, relatively speaking, we're getting very, very close to able to... presumably, that we were able to actually get the rest of the monkeys from here. So I think, relatively speaking, there was actually like, I don't know, a grand total of like, I don't know, maybe it's like, it's pretty difficult to explain, because it's been like, 5 days ago since we actually last played this. And thankfully, with those enemies right there, you could just simply use the magic punch to able to actually just to get rid of these guys no problem, so... And also you can potentially try to able to stun one of those monkeys, as you can tell. So relatively speaking, let's go ahead and search for the final monkey, which appears to be on the before the roller coaster segment. So, and once we're able to capture this very last monkey in the game before Specter, well, basically that pretty much takes care of the rest of the monkeys throughout the entire ape escape. So. But again, I've no idea why I've managed able to say things weirdly enough at this point. But either way, though, that's as far as I can usually try to go for this point. So, although I'm pretty sure it's possible that 204 is the exact amount of all the monkeys you can probably get. Well, mind you, despite the fact that I've actually stumbled across this very weird technical issue for this point. So... there we go, folks. All the monkeys have been captured, so everything should be all settled for this point right now. So, yeah, you did it. Thank you, Katie, for able to give me some bit of compliments. So yeah, we'll skip that because you already seen that speech. So now, since we've actually got every single monkeys in the game, let's go ahead and take on the final battle with Specter himself. Because, jeez, this particular process took way too long in my ad. So, anyways, let's head over to the Dimension Final Get. I'm not exactly sure why that name exists in the UK version, but I'm guessing it's probably because of the translation or something like that. But anyways, let's go and get Specter for reals this time, in the true final boss in the entire Ape Escape game. So bring it on, Specter! Bring it on!
You finally come, Spike. You really are stubborn.
Of course. You're still thinking of conquering the world. You must stop this.
Yeah. I have a question for you instead.
What do you want suddenly?
You are pretty strong. Why don't you use that power otherwise?
I'd rather help my friends than hurt them. I'd never betray the professor to help you.
You're a kid.
You asked me.
Yeah, you're so loud. I still have another question.
What now?
How is the man that raised me?
What? You mean the breeder at the amusement park?
Yeah.
Spectre. By any chance, do you want to go back to the amusement park? I think the breeder will forgive you if you apologize.
What? What are you talking about? I told you, I hate that dim place. First of all, why do I have to apologize? I acquired superpower. I can do anything I want to with this power.
That power's meaningless. You're being controlled by the Peak Point helmet. Throw that thing away, Spectre, and let's go back to the amusement park.
Shut up! I will prove the greatness of this power by beating you now.
If I win, will you get rid of the helmet?
I won't lose.
Okay, that's a promise, Spectre. Here I come.
So yes, here we go into the forms of the true final boss in the game, like I said before, which is Spectre himself. So, no matter what though, I think this particular final boss is gonna bring up into like few different segments, or should I say few phases. So, best recommendation is of course the propeller, because that way it'll save you from the forms of, as you can tell, that we actually stumbled across into the forms of that particular shockwaves, as you can tell, that we do definitely need a propeller in order able to actually make your way to make onto the actual safe spot. So, again, it's pretty difficult to explain, but once you get the hang of it though, well, it's your chance to able to actually just to attack him from either doing that. Well, potentially speaking, there is that gadget that we can no longer use at this point, which is of course Monkey Radar, because thankfully we don't need to worry about just trying to able to get those monkeys again. Assuming of course if you really want to be very curious, able to try out time attack mode, then by all means you're might as well able to just try it. So yeah, basically you just manage to teleport some certain spots throughout the entire arena, and it's your chance to able to actually just to like attack him from not only just utilizing the forms of Stun Club, but also if you're lucky enough, then you, okay, that's a bit weird, to able to actually just hit him from that particular height. But either way though, as soon as when he starts flashing red, this means he's pretty much almost down at this point, which I know it sounds a bit weird for saying this, but I think this boss is actually super duper easy as well. Well, assuming of course if you know exactly what to do here. So relatively speaking though, actually let me go ahead and switch over to a different gadget. So let's just bring out a slingshot, so we don't need to necessarily utilize Monkey Radar right now, as I mentioned this before. And let's see if we can able to actually get this good accurate shots with the slingshot and try to aim at Spectre himself. Well, assuming of course that luckily we do have infinite amounts of those, I would say like nuts or something, or those little weird slingshot balls. So yeah, that might be something worth noting for when it comes to likely dealing the amount of damage to Spectre himself. So And something tells me, oh, he's now on to the second phase. So, yeah, he's now walking on foot, and it's your chance to able to actually use the stun club to able to break his shield down. And then every once in a while, though, it's about the fact that once you're able to keep on breaking the shield, then it's your chance to able to actually just to, like, keep on smacking at him. Or, in some cases, though, keep on damaging him. So, and I think this is generally one of the hardest phases, at least in my opinion. Because I know for a fact that every once in a while he managed able to start summoning those homing projectiles at us. So relatively speaking though, it's definitely a little bit tricky though. But when you get the hang of it though, it's actually not too shabby or not too challenging either. So, but it does take a bit of practice though, especially noticeable that if you somehow die in any boss fights in particular, well basically you have to go ahead and start yourself all over again with this entire fight. So, yeah, that might be something you probably heard about this several times when it comes to like dealing with boss fights and all that stuff though. But either way though, that's as far as I can usually try to able to mentioning about that particular boss fight in mind. So, and I somehow died, so that's just great. Which also means about the fact that I have to go all the way back to the first phase again, so... But that's okay, because I think the actual boss battle itself wasn't too ridiculously long to complete. So it's just about the fact the matter is, though, you have to, you know, like, dodge everything, basically, in order to able to succeed to this fight. So, I know it sounds a little bit too strange to able to mentioning about that particular stuff, though. But either way, though, that's as far as I can usually try to able to describe about all this kind of stuff like that, so... And also, conveniently enough though, it's about the fact that we haven't exactly got that much upgrade in terms of our subscribers count recently. Because I know for a fact that we're still stuck on the forms of the halfway point in 700 subscribers. Like, I know for a fact that we actually now on to 651 still. So, yeah, I honestly have no idea why that my subscribers count doesn't seem to able to increase that often. Well, I'm not exactly sure it's like a technical thing, or perhaps even maybe because the forms of something else entirely. Oh, and I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this as well, that I recently managed able to try out Party Planner 64 on my own time to able to actually create my very own Mario Party 1 board, which, if you want to know what that is, well, I basically created the My Little Pony themed Monopoly board in Mario Party 1. No items included, so it's just pretty simple and self-explanatory. Get your stars at certain spots of the board. And basically what I do found out that I've managed able to mark certain star spaces right where the main 6 are, including Princess Celestia as well. Because, well, obviously the main 6 are the most legendary things in terms of Ponyville itself, in addition to Princess Celestia, although I was expecting to also include Princess Luna as well, but the thing is, I just aren't able to place certain star spaces very close to each other, so I could assure you I managed to place for about 7 star spaces, for what I've noticed. Well, despite the fact that the only way I can able to play that particular board for my custom themed board, that's what appears to be by the forms of what else? The emulator itself, in this case Project 64. Despite the fact that, well, occasionally my game attempts to lag a little bit, which I know it doesn't seem that much pleasant to able to actually, like, play the game with lag, because I know for a fact that it might actually feel unpleasant. So, anyway, looks like he's almost down, so it's just, well, I can assure you we're now on to the final phase of this entire fight, so it's definitely a bit tricky though, but I think something tells me there might be occasional moments where Specter will be able to actually send in some big biscuits or cookies, depending on the forms that the actual projectile is going to send at us. So, I think the best advice for this particular phase is, of course, just try not to focus on trying to chase after him. And once you've done that, well, catch the... Oh, okay, so he's not down yet. So, because I have managed to able to accidentally equip the actual catch net, so something tells me about the fact that we can just, well, keep on, you know, destroying the shield, and hopefully he'll be down by then. So, at least thankfully we've got some more health again, so that should be all pretty swell. Alright, Alright, so let's just... okay. Alright, only one more hit. And there it goes. And catch him for good. So, there goes Specter. And once you catch Specter, well, I think something tells me the game credits just somehow rolled. So, bit weird able to actually have the credits roll as soon as when we finally dealt with Specter himself. But suppose it doesn't matter because either way though we've somehow finished the game. So yeah, let's give my final thoughts of Ape Escape. I know it sounds a bit quick for saying this, but I know for a fact that, well, relatively speaking, like I said before, I somehow managed to able to really enjoy this title. Especially because, well, I feel like that the graphics do look very, very cool as well as cutesy at the same time. Like, I will admit though right away that I feel like the PlayStation 1 graphics in this game compared to the PSP remake, that the PS1 version to me though feels a lot more superior than the forms of how it does it on the PSP remake counterpart, because I know for the fact that they try to make it a little bit more of an anime look on the PSP remake. But something about the PS1 version to me though, I just felt it super satisfying when the characters looked, especially that they look so adorable looking, especially Katie, especially that, well, it does kind of remind me of the forms of Misty for a little bit, so, but that's just me. And the graphics do look very, very good, even especially noticeable as on the PlayStation 1, and it does look very, very cool looking, I'm not gonna lie. The gameplay I always enjoy, and the story itself, well, it's all about like time travel aspect, but I do manage to enjoy the story for quite a bit. And the soundtrack, oh man, the soundtrack is so amazing to listen to. Well, apart from one exception though, that is of course Crumbling Castle theme, but that's only mainly because it decides able to go in loop for a few moments notice, but that's besides the point. And the controls, oh man, the controls are so magnificent too, especially because that game utilizes the forms of DualShock analog sticks, because again, the game won't be playable without them, but either way though, that might be saying something, so... But yeah, you should definitely recommend getting this game, either the PS1 physical version, or nowadays you can now able to get this game on your PlayStation 4, in addition to PlayStation 5 as well. So relatively speaking though, I highly recommend this title, especially, this is certainly one of the greatest, if not the greatest PlayStation games I've ever played, next to Klonoa, Daughters of Phantomile, alongside with the forms of the Crash Bandicoot games, Spyro the Dragon games, and all that stuff. Yeah, this is certainly a great time, at least for my part. So, but we're not exactly done with this game yet, because in addition to showing you the secret ending, but there's also some mini games we can show off, especially with that one last thing as well, which is the time attack mode. But I'll save that and join at some point until on this coming Thursday. So I just want to let you know that we'll show off the rest of this. So yeah, enjoy the secret ending, and I'll see you guys until if we get to the final video on Thursday. So see you then.
Oh no, the time!
We better hurry or we'll be late.
Hey, that's not fair, Spike! Wait for me, you two! I said wait!